Good evening and welcome to NTD News. I'm Chenny Wu. Here are today's top stories. Several Republican governors are calling on the president to end his federal vaccine mandates. This after Biden told the governors there's no federal solution to the pandemic. And the CDC lowers its estimate of the prevalence of the Omicron variant. A teenager was accidentally shot last week during a police encounter. Los Angeles police released body camera footage and radio transmissions yesterday. But the teenager's parents are now speaking out to demand more transparency and justice for their daughter. After 24 years of service, a Border Patrol agent retires. He says the agency's vaccine mandate and a surge of illegal immigration impacted his decision. And he has a message for Border Patrol agents. New York is doubling the amount of testing done in schools, but students who come in contact with COVID-positive classmates can now stay in school. Chinese state media says that China's digital yuan is ready for use during the upcoming Beijing Olympics. But why are U.S. officials urging American athletes not to use it? The Omicron COVID variant might not be as prevalent as previously thought. The CDC is adjusting down its estimate of the variant's infection rate. The CDC now believes Omicron is responsible for about 59% of new cases in the U.S. last week. That's down from the agency's previous estimate of around 73%. Not every COVID test goes through genetic sequencing to determine which variant caused it, so it's extremely difficult to pinpoint how many cases each variant causes. Also, many COVID infections never get tested at all. The State Department announced today that U.S. citizens are able to use certain expired passports to return abroad to the United States. Overseas citizens whose passports expired on or after January 1st, 2020 may be able to use their expired U.S. passports to return to the United States until March 31st, 2022. The State Department is encouraging U.S. citizens to confirm their eligibility before finalizing travel arrangements. Several Republican governors are calling on President Biden to withdraw his federal vaccine mandates. This comes after Biden told the governors yesterday that there's no federal solution to the pandemic. NTD's Grace Coulter has a story.
During a Monday discussion on pandemic measures, President Biden said there is no federal solution to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Look, there is no federal solution. This gets solved at a state level.
In response, several Republican governors are calling on Biden to rescind his federal vaccine mandates. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster wrote on Twitter, if the president believes this gets solved at the state level, then he needs to withdraw his unconstitutional and overreaching vaccine mandates. Texas Governor Greg Abbott shared a similar sentiment, tweeting, Biden says there's no federal solution to COVID and that this gets solved at the state level. He should immediately end his unconstitutional federal mandates. The Texas solution is no mandates and personal responsibility. Arizona Governor Doug Ducey questioned the president, asking why then is he trying to force mandates in all 50 states? Ducey wrote, the president wants it both ways. He's demanding governors resolve the pandemic because his administration can't, yet he continues to push vaccine mandates on businesses with no thought to the consequences. And South Carolina Governor Kristi Noem directed her tweet to the president, saying, after a year, they finally agree. The federal government isn't the solution, adding, now rescind all the federal mandates. The U.S. Supreme Court last week agreed to hear challenges to the Biden administration's vaccine mandates for large employers and for healthcare workers. The group challenging the employer mandate includes 27 states with Republican governors or attorneys general, religious groups, private businesses, and national industry associations. The Supreme Court will take up the two challenges on January 7th. Grace Coulter, NTD News.
Actor Hugh Jackman tests positive for COVID-19 despite being fully vaccinated. He announced on his Instagram today that his symptoms are mild. Jackman says in his video that he feels like he has a cold. He describes having a scratchy throat and runny nose, but he says he's otherwise fine. The actor is a two-time Tony Award winner. He will star in the upcoming revival of The Music Man on Broadway, set to open in February. He writes that he's looking forward to get back on stage ASAP. Schools in New York will stay open. That's the message today from the state governor and the New York City governor. New York City Mayor. NTD's Arian Pazdar tells us the new regulations and how they affect parents.
The model is called Stay Safe and Stay Open. A number of new safety measures will be added on top of the ones already in place. Children will be tested for COVID more often, but quarantine rules will be relaxed. And the mayor made the announcement at his joint press conference with the governor. Children who come in touch with COVID-positive classmates don't necessarily have to quarantine anymore.
When there's a positive case in a classroom, every child takes home at-home test kits. Every child who tests negative comes back to school. It's as simple as that.
He added that the amount of in-school testing will be doubled. And teachers and staff will also be able to test students. The mayor says the main reason for schools to stay open is that kids with COVID almost never spread the virus to their classmates.
98% of close contacts don't turn into positive cases themselves.
But Governor Hochul added that even with these measures, parents should vaccinate their children. She says many kids have already been safely vaccinated.
You're not the first. You need to join the ranks of parents who've done the right thing for their children to make sure they're protected. This new variant is affecting children more than the past variants.
Both the mayor and the governor say that over these past 2 years, they have seen how crucial in-person learning can be for children. They say that's why they want kids to stay in school. Arian Pastar, NTD News, New York.
New York City's mayor today also announced that the city's anti-gun violence program received $20.5 million in federal funds. He says the program aims to break the cycle of gun violence, specifically among young people. The funds are allocated by the Secretary of the Treasury. Apple stores in New York City are no longer allowing shoppers to browse due to the surge in COVID-19 cases. At about a dozen city locations, customers are limited to online order pickup and walk-in services. NTD's Jason Perry has a story.
This Apple store in Manhattan used to be open 24 hours a day. Now they've adjusted the store hours from 8 a.m. to midnight due to the recent increases in COVID-19, and they are no longer accepting walk-in shoppers. All shoppers must make an appointment online and then wait in line over here. I talked with some of the people waiting here to see what they think of the new measures.
It's difficult since it's cold outside, but if it was indoors, it was fine.
I think it's okay. It's a little bit frustrating to wait outside because it's a little bit cold, but if I want to buy something, I can also do it online.
I think it's fine. I think it's precautionary and it's probably necessary, especially here in New York.
Apple also temporarily closed stores in Florida, Maryland, and Canada because of the virus. The company said in a statement, "We regularly monitor conditions, and we will adjust both our health measures and store services to support the well-being of customers and employees." There's still no word yet of when this store will go back to being open 24 hours. Jason Perry, NTD News, New York.
The District Attorney of Westchester County, New York, announced today that former Governor Andrew Cuomo will not be criminally charged for 2 sexual misconduct allegations against him, despite credible evidence. The DA said that while their investigation found evidence that the events occurred, her office determined that they cannot pursue criminal charges due to the statutory requirements of New York's criminal laws. This comes after prosecutors in Nassau County announced last week that Cuomo won't be criminally charged for another sexual misconduct allegation. Police have released body camera footage from a fatal shooting that occurred last Thursday in Los Angeles, California. The shooting took the life of a teenager who was accidentally struck by a stray bullet. Now her parents are demanding justice for their daughter and more transparency. NTD's Cynthia Kai has more, and just a warning, some of the following footage may be disturbing to some viewers.
A fatal police-involved shooting last Thursday took the life of Valentina Oriana Peralta, a 14-year-old girl who was out shopping with her mother. Valentina's mother, Soledad Peralta, said her daughter passed away in her arms after a bullet came through the dressing room drywall. Peralta addressed the press in Spanish, and attorneys translated for the press.
We were together at Burlington in North Hollywood. We were trying out clothes for Christmas. We heard some screams. We sat down and hugged and started praying. When something impacted my daughter, Valentina, It threw us on the floor, and she died in my arms, and there was nothing I could do.
During an encounter between Los Angeles police and the suspect, later identified as 24-year-old Daniel Elena Lopez, a stray bullet from an officer's rifle struck Valentina in the chest. Valentina's father flew to Los Angeles from their native home in Chile. He said Valentina had once assured him the U.S. was the safest country in the world and dreamed of becoming an American citizen. Oriana addressed the press in Spanish, and attorneys interpreted for the press.
The only thing that he is left for him now is to seek justice for his daughter. He will not rest until justice for his daughter is served, and he promised her that. And all that's left for him, his only solace, is to bury his daughter now.
Moving forward, attorneys and Valentina's parents are asking for more transparency from police, including unedited video footage and radio transmission recordings. The LAPD police chief requested 911 call recordings and video footage to be released quickly, only 4 days after the incident, promising transparency in this case. Body camera footage released Monday afternoon showed an officer removing and bringing a rifle from the trunk of his patrol vehicle. Upon encountering the suspect on the second floor, the officer can be heard firing 3 bullets from his rifle, striking and killing the suspect. Valentina's parents say they will try to accept this new normal and keep being positive. Cynthia Kai, NTD News, California.
This year, Border Patrol agents have dealt with unprecedented levels of illegal border crossers. A former agent tells us this is partly why he retired after 24 years of service. He says the vaccine mandate was another sticking point. NTD's Miguel Moreno has the interview.
Bill Jackson from El Paso, Texas, worked for Customs and Border Protection for 24 years. This month, he retired, a decision Jackson says he and his family discussed early this year. But he tells me that this year's record surge of illegal border crossers and President Biden's vaccine mandate reinforced his will to retire.
And just the fact of having a vaccine mandate on top of all the stress of doing this job and the illegal surge has complicated our lives and our abilities to go out there and do our job effectively, knowing that there's so much going on, and to process that with our families, it creates quite the perfect storm.
In October, some lawmakers had warned Homeland Security that Border Patrol agents may either quit or retire in response to the COVID-19 vaccine mandate. That requirement went into effect about a month later on November 22nd, but it's uncertain how many agents have either called it quits or retired on account of the mandate. Jackson says he won't get the COVID-19 vaccine for religious reasons. His wife, Irene Armendariz Jackson, is running for Congress as a Republican.
And I think the vaccine mandate was the nail in the coffin for us to be able to say, no, we will not tolerate it. The government, the executive branch, was never intended to have these kinds of powers.
Do you have a message for Border Patrol agents who may be thinking of quitting or retiring early due to the mandate or other issues at the border?
Absolutely. As a fellow agent, retired agent, and as a chaplain, which I was a chaplain almost as long as I've been an agent, you're not alone. America still values the safety of our country. It still values and reaps the benefit of your protection. And know that there are people fighting for your rights, your God-given rights, inalienable, which is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Customs and Border Protection tells me that as of November 30th, 98% of their employees have complied with the vaccine policy. 87% were fully vaccinated, and 11% requested what the agency calls reasonable accommodations. Miguel Moreno, NTD News.
Jurors started the second week of deliberations against former Theranos CEO Elizabeth Holmes. She is accused of deceiving investors and patients by praising the company's blood test technology as a medical breakthrough, despite its ineffectiveness. 37-year-old Elizabeth Holmes' deliberations resume at 8:30 a.m. today in a federal courthouse in San Jose, California. The jury has deliberated for more than 30 hours in the criminal fraud trial. According to AP, the jurors sent out 2 notes to the U.S. District Judge Edward Davila. One note requested to take the court material home for analysis, which was rejected. The other request was to view a replay of a 2013 recording of Holmes discussing Theranos dealings with prospective investors. Theranos raised more than $900 million and struck partnerships with major retailers Walgreens and Safeway with the blood test. The company's blood testing technology was flawed, often producing inaccurate results that could have endangered the lives of patients. The former Theranos CEO, Holmes, is facing 11 felony counts of wire fraud and conspiracy. If convicted, Holmes could face up to 20 years in federal prison. Today, conservators in Virginia opened a second time capsule found in the pedestal of a General Lee statue. They believe it came from 1887. They find books, coins, ammunition, and documents in the capsule. NTD's Allison Lee has the details.
Okay, so we're pulling out the medals first because they're on top.
Conservators at the Virginia Department of Historical Resources opened a second time capsule today. Crews found the capsule on Monday in a pedestal that once held a statue of General Robert E. Lee in Richmond. The state removed the statue in September. A newspaper from 1887 shows that 37 Richmond residents, organizations, and businesses put about 60 objects in a time capsule. They placed the capsule inside the cornerstone during the statue's cornerstone laying ceremony on October 27, 1887.
Proceedings of the Grand Lodge of Ancient York Masons of the state of Virginia. Very wet Holy Bible, part of the inventory.
Based on what they found inside, experts say the contents match the description of the time capsule from 1887. There were coins, a Bible, books, bullets, and other documents. Historians had hoped to see a rare photo of President Abraham Lincoln after his death, but it didn't seem like conservators found it.
So I have to say, it looks like a picture of Lincoln. It said Lincoln on it, so this may be not at all what everyone was hoping for.
Experts have been looking for the time capsule for some time. Earlier this month, they found another time capsule in the pedestal. They opened it and found an 1875 almanac, 2 other books, a cloth envelope, and a silver coin. Allison Lee, NTD News.
Home Depot is enhancing its discount for veterans and service members. Previously, the 10% military discount was only available in physical stores and didn't include spouses. Now, U.S. veterans, active duty service members, and spouses who pre-register on the app will receive a 10% discount both in stores and online. Home Depot says they're offering this discount as a token of appreciation to help make the homes of service members and veterans safer and more comfortable. The retail store says it employs more than 35,000 veterans and military spouses. A state-run media outlet says China's new digital currency will be ready for service during the Beijing Olympics. But U.S. officials are cautioning American athletes against using it, citing privacy concerns. NTD's Don Ma has more.
The Chinese regime is planning to promote its new digital currency at the upcoming Beijing Winter Olympics. This, according to Chinese state-run media Xinhua News. But U.S. politicians have warned American athletes to stay away. Earlier this month, a handful of U.S. lawmakers sent a letter to the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, urging them to forbid American athletes from acquiring or using the new form of currency during the Games. The letter warned that the Chinese digital currency, called the digital yuan, may be used to survey Chinese citizens and those visiting China on an unprecedented scale. Here's what a senior fellow at the Center for a New American Security told the Wall Street Journal.
This digital yuan is less about money and more about data.
The digital yuan is issued by the Chinese regime's central bank. It's a highly centralized type of currency and can be closely monitored or tracked by Chinese authorities.
The central bank will know who's paying, how much they're paying, when they're paying, where they're paying.
Different than U.S. financial institutions, all Chinese banks must cooperate with the Chinese Communist Party, including when they're asked to hand over clients' personal information. A 2020 report by the Atlantic Council think tank said that the Chinese regime can trace every movement of the digital yuan, as well as the identity of all transacting parties. Don Ma, NTD News.
Coming up, the Good Riddance Day celebration at Times Square. To many, it's a good time to let go of unpleasant memories from 2021 and welcome what's next. The Sierra Mountains in California are seeing record snowfall. Many places are buried as deep as 10 feet. For some, the new year can't get here fast enough, and today is the day to leave behind unpleasant memories from 2021. People gather at Times Square every December 28th to celebrate the annual Good Riddance Day. NTD's Iris Tao has more.
Welcome 2022, and goodbye to 2021 and everything you want to forget about it.
COVID to go away.
The annual Good Riddance Day celebration at Times Square allows people to write down the past year's bad memories on slips of paper or bring their own stack.
And burn Julian's financial headaches from 2021.
Which are then burned to wipe the slate clean.
Good riddance, get rid of it, clear the slate, and walk into 2022 with a completely clean slate to have positive new experiences.
COVID, loneliness, or your ex-boyfriend. These are only some of the things that people want to say good riddance to in 2021.
What do you want to get rid of?
Bad people. COVID and all the bad stuff that's happened in 2021.
So the Real Housewives of Iceland.
And to some people, it means a lot.
This event, what does this event mean symbolically to you?
Catharsis! Susan Jacks, a performer, says she, like every actor in the city, wishes next year they can finally get rid of taping themselves without an audience.
You sing, you dance, you act in front of them. Now, you play dress up in your bedroom and scream at your iPhone.
And as the city is getting ready for the big events coming up in just a few days, the host of Times Square New Year's Eve says hope is what they're trying to bring.
Everyone is looking forward to the future because I feel like there's a lot of hope in 2022 that people are ready for.
Iris Tao, NTD News.
California is experiencing record levels of rain and snow. Some places in the Sierra Nevada mountains are buried now in up to 10 feet of snow. Here's NTD's Eileen Eng with more information.
The Sierra Mountains in California's Central Valley are seeing record snow. According to the Sacramento National Weather Service, some ski resort locations saw over 10 feet of snow in the past week. North Star had 132 inches, Sugar Bowl had 121 inches, and Homewood had 128 inches of snow. Everywhere, snow covers homes, cars, driveways, trees, and roads, turning the mountains into a winter wonderland. But some people are delayed or stuck due to the storm.
Definitely plan ahead if you're traveling in the storm in the Sierras, because it can be, you never know what to expect. It's pretty dangerous out there, and everyone who's working like highway patrol and all police officers and healthcare workers are already pretty overwhelmed, and it's just not a good idea to travel in a storm like this. So
the manager of a local lodge in Tahoe City has people staying at her place because they have nowhere to go during the storm. Interstate 50 to South Lake Tahoe is now reopened, but travelers should expect delays. The freeway was closed due to fallen trees. Interstate 80 is still closed from Colfax to the Nevada state line as Caltrans works to clear the snow and trees from the road.
Right now, emergency personnel in that area are trying to get through to get to work, and they can't due to all of the traffic. So if you do not have to travel, please stay home. Wait it out. Otherwise, expect that you are going to take, 10 plus hours to get to your destination.
Pacific Gas and Electric Company reported about 70,000 customers are without power in the Sierra Division on Monday. They said it is challenging to get through the snow and are bringing in crews to work with agencies to restore power. Officials say the snowfall this December at 193.7 inches has broken the previous record in 1970 at 179 inches. More snow is expected through the new year. Eileen Ang, NTD News, California.
Baseball MVP Shohei Ohtani picked up some more hardware today as the Associated Press voted the two-way star their male athlete of the year. And in the NBA, Brooklyn Nets star guard Kyrie Irving has cleared the NBA's health and safety protocols. But will he return to the court? NTD's David Martin has more.
Shohei Ohtani's 2021 season was unlike any other in the past 100 years. Not since Babe Ruth in his Red Sox days has one of the game's best hitters doubled as one of the game's best pitchers, though not even Ruth managed it all in the same season. Ohtani's 46 home runs and 96 walks were both third in the American League, and he finished in the top 10 in numerous other offensive categories, landing him the Silver Slugger Award at DH. The all-around threat even managed to swipe 26 bases. Meanwhile, on the Hill, he went 9-2 with a 3.18 ERA in 23 starts, spanning just over 130 innings. In the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets announced today that Kevin Durant, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Kyrie Irving had cleared the NBA's health and safety protocols and could rejoin the team. For Durant and Aldridge, that means they can play Thursday night against the Sixers. However, Irving remains ineligible to play at home because he hasn't met New York City's vaccine requirement mandate. Brooklyn's next away game isn't until January 5th at Indiana. The Nets previously said that the 7-time All-Star Irving wouldn't be back as a part-time player. But with numerous players out over the past week because of the protocols, it looks like he'll finally play. Dave Martin, NTD News, New York.
Nothing but net. This Washington, D.C. teacher went viral after she sank a full-court basketball shot and made it look easy. Kathleen Fitzpatrick, known as Miss Fitz, promised her third-grade class a hot chocolate party if she made the shot. When it went in, the kids went crazy, and so did people around the world. Fitzpatrick says she's heard from people in Germany, Spain, and the United Kingdom. Fitzpatrick has been playing basketball most of her life, including in college. She says she can't wait to hear other bad ideas from her students when they return from break. An endangered Sumatran tiger at the Dallas Zoo gave birth to a couple of healthy cubs, a male and a female. Let's take a look. Video released by the zoo on Monday showed the 2-day-old cubs whimpering, struggling to stand up, and being bottle-fed by the zoo staff. Each of the newborns weighed in at just over 2 pounds, and both are growing fast. The cubs are receiving around-the-clock care from a team of zoologists and veterinarians. Coming up, China is sending over 100 military personnel to the city of Xi'an. This northern Chinese city is currently under the strictest lockdown since Wuhan. And China is expanding its ability to collect cargo data globally. And the U.S. is concerned about the trend and warns that the issue needs additional attention. That and more here on NTD News.
Secure, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. Secure is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. Secure is 100% private and does not collect or sell any of your personal data. Secure's Helix technology connects you securely to our Swiss servers without the need of a VPN, guaranteeing privacy and security for all your communications. Secure Messenger doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. Chat by Invites allows you to chat privately and securely with anyone outside of your secure network without the need for others to download Secure. Secure Send offers you a private and secure way to email anyone outside of Secure. You won't find this level of privacy or security on any other email or instant messaging application. Visit secure.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
You worked hard for your money. You invest in stability for your retirement and your family's future, to build and leave them with something greater. The next unprecedented financial crisis, political misstep, or unstable government can depreciate it all away. It was called the gold standard for a reason, the financial preservation of tomorrow. Diversify your assets against inflation, market volatility, and the unknown with real money. Hedge your wealth with the purest form of money, physical gold and silver. Because any currency printed on paper can be manipulated. What's backing up your IRA? Do what you need to do right now to be prepared with the Reagan Gold Group. Visit now, rggusakit.com, or call us at 866-912-1384. Receive up to $2,500 in free silver coins and a free safe with your new precious metals IRA. Call now.
China's pandemic policy is taking a turn, but this time it's mirroring the early days of the pandemic. Over 100 military personnel are now stationed in its Xi'an city, some of whom had deployed to a field hospital in Wuhan last year. NTD's Evelyn Lee has more.
The Chinese military is in Xi'an as the city continues to deal with a virus outbreak driven by the Delta variant. Apparently, 150 military medics from the Chinese Air Force were sent to local hospitals in Xi'an. That's according to Chinese state media on Tuesday. Many of them had experiences dealing with the initial outbreak in Wuhan. You'll probably remember that's the original epicenter of the pandemic. Xi'an reported over 170 new local cases on Tuesday, a jump from about 150 cases per day in the past 2 days. Local authorities in Xi'an have already tightened control measures to the strictest level in China. It was rarely seen since the initial outbreak in Wuhan. All residents are required to stay at home unless they go out for mass testing. Previously, one person from each household was allowed to go out to buy groceries every 2 days. But starting Monday, no one is allowed to go out even for groceries. Since locking down the city last week, authorities have placed nearly 30,000 people in hotel quarantine. On Tuesday, residents in Xi'an complained on Chinese social media Weibo. Many say they were running out of food at home. One user says, "Soon I'll be running out of food and there's nowhere to buy." Another user says, "My neighborhood management team does not care about our food supply. What should I do if I run out of stock at home? Guess I'll just starve to death?" 2021 had not been an easy year for foreign firms doing business in China. An increasingly challenging political environment in China is pushing some major Western companies to leave the country. James Zimmerman, an American lawyer based in Beijing, says that the Chinese market has become less and less palatable for Western companies. He explains that it's because of reputational risks of operating in an environment with extreme content censorship and tighter regulatory conditions. In October, Microsoft decided to shut down its LinkedIn service inside China. LinkedIn said it was due to a significantly more challenging operating environment and greater compliance requirements in China. This came after LinkedIn faced criticism for censoring posts of U.S. journalists inside China. Last month, Yahoo also pulled out of China because of the country's increasingly challenging business and legal environment. It came after a new data law came into effect. The law restricts companies from transporting Chinese data out of the country. Major American video game maker Epic Games also gave up the Chinese market. It was after Beijing banned kids from playing video games on school nights. China's ability to collect data on global cargo flows is worrying the U.S. The Wall Street Journal reports that Beijing's worldwide logistics network would even track shipments from ports far from China. Cargo industry officials worry that the information collected may give Beijing the insight and even the power to influence world commerce. Shipping data now has become a precious commodity. Digital network logging is a star in China's cargo data system. The network calls itself a one-stop logistics information service platform. The platform builds its collections from a mix of public databases. It also relies on input from over 450,000 users in China and across the world. Industry officials say that Beijing could gain advantages by processing data crossing logging. Logging is officially called the National Public Information Platform for Transportation and Logistics. It was developed since 2007 under the power of China's Transportation Ministry. Michael Vessel, a member of the U.S. Congress's U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission, commented on the issue. He says logging could be a treasure trove of intelligence of national security and economic interest. The company website says it serves China's Belt and Road Initiative and has become a window for Beijing to share international logistics information. The U.S. Defense Department sends military equipment through global commercial ports. An official said, without commenting on logging, that China is also eyeing U.S. military logistics through Belt and Road. It's not clear how much data logging collects worldwide or who has access to the data. An industry expert commented that logging is operated by the Chinese regime and that, quote, it's difficult for free enterprises to compete with an incorporated nation.
It's been a crazy year for cryptocurrency, with major players in finance injecting billions of dollars into the industry. What's the market expected to look like in the new year? NTD's Phil Zhou gets some predictions from the crypto industry.
The crypto industry is growing fast. It's no longer only about Bitcoin, but more products on the blockchain. What are the predictions for next year?
2022 is going to be crazy.
Even more money than this year will flow into the space next year.
VCs and other investment banks are going to take over more of the crypto world.
The company behind meme coin Hokkaido Inu says meme coins might become even more popular.
We're going to see a lot more adoption of meme tokens as more legitimate currencies for all sorts of commerce.
Bassa says meme coins can help crypto newbies get familiar with the industry. Digital marketing agency Online Optimism helps clients market in the metaverse. It says banks and major companies are taking over.
There's no stopping them. They have a lot of money, they have a lot of time, and to be honest, they have a lot of government regulation on their side.
But Zager says that could be a good thing.
It will probably bring a little better user friendliness and opportunity to actually use cryptocurrencies in your day-to-day rather than just holding on and wishing for the best.
Victor Hografa at Eon Labs says he's already seeing changes in Europe, which he says will spread to the rest of the globe.
There's already a couple of crypto credit cards that are quite widely used. I have one myself. You see ads on buses everywhere. You see ads on TV. That'll happen more, I think.
Hografa says crypto is slowly becoming mainstream.
Owning cryptocurrencies, owning crypto assets of some kind will become as standard as having, Google stocks or something like that in your 401k or your pension plan.
But with blockchain, these things move so fast that I think in the next 5-10 years, you're going to see huge adoption from the masses.
No more overnight successes.
But if you were looking for a get-rich-quick scheme where you could put in $1,000 and end up with $10 million, you might have missed your chance to do that.
But there's still time to learn about this growing digital asset. Phil Zhou, NTD News.
And coming up, the festive holiday mood took a blow in France. The government canceled events celebrating New Year's Eve to quell the surge in COVID cases. And all over Germany, people are protesting every week over tightening COVID measures and the government's plan for a vaccine mandate. That and more on NTD News. Russia's Supreme Court has ruled that the country's best-known human rights group Memorial must be liquidated. The group is alleged to have broken the law requiring groups to register as foreign agents. NTD's Trevor Piper has more on this.
Russian human rights group Memorial has been ordered to close after a Supreme Court ruling on Tuesday. Moscow says it is enforcing laws to thwart extremism and shield the country from foreign influence. Much of Memorial's work has focused on repressions carried out by Soviet state security bodies, including the KGB. It has more recently spoken out against repression of critics under President Vladimir Putin. The group was established by prominent dissidents in the final years of the Soviet Union. The ruling comes after a Russian court on Monday added 2 more years to a 13-year jail sentence for historian Yuri Dmitriev, who worked with Memorial.
Unfortunately, our history is shrouded in the cloud of darkness. We should slowly and steadily uncover these facts, sometimes with a shovel, sometimes with a scoop, sometimes with a broom. We need to know the history.
Dmitriev is accused of sexually abusing his adopted daughter, a charge that he denies. His supporters say it was trumped up to punish him for uncovering mass graves in Stalin's gulags. Trevor Piper, NTD News.
The French government is tightening pandemic restrictions after a surge in CCP virus cases across the country. It's looking to introduce a super health pass. That means in addition to getting 3 doses of the vaccine, people have to show a negative COVID test in order to enter certain high-risk venues. NTD's David Vivez has the story.
Just a few days before New Year's Eve, pandemic restrictions are dampening the festive mood in France. The Champs-Élysées Avenue won't host celebrations and fireworks like it usually does. And many other venues across the country are cancelling their events, as the French government announced tighter measures on Monday to curb a surge in CCP virus infections.
I was planning to have a New Year's meal with friends and family. So yes, I had to adapt at the last minute. They kept on saying, vaccinations, vaccinations, vaccinations. But now, maybe something else is needed. It's been 2 years that we've been like this.
Though there won't be a curfew, other restrictions have been implemented. All public gatherings will be limited to 2,000 people for indoors events and to 5,000 people for outdoor events. In addition, the government wants to create a super pass, meaning people will have to show proof of having received 3 doses of the vaccine, plus a negative COVID test to enter high-risk venues, such as nightclubs. According to Diane Protat, a lawyer who specializes in health issues, this is the latest step to force the vaccine on people.
I'm astounded. This is a new step the government is taking to force the vaccine on people, but it's just not stated outright. In other European countries, like in Italy, they clearly say to people, if you're not vaccinated, you can't go to work. You can't be a part of society, period.
She says these new measures are against the Constitution and people's fundamental rights.
When you say to people, you can't work, you can't go to the hospital, you can't go on public transportation or participate in society, this is a kind of punishment that we've never seen before. That's why I say this is like we're creating a new category of under-citizens for these people.
The French government is looking to implement a new bill that will transform the health pass into a vaccine pass, meaning a negative test will no longer be accepted. David Vives, NTD News, Paris.
In Germany, thousands of opponents of compulsory vaccination took to the streets yesterday and over the weekend. Protests have broken out across Germany in recent weeks as residents face tighter restrictions amid a so-called fifth COVID-19 wave. This report comes from NTD's Earl Rhodes.
Thousands of people all over Germany protested on Monday over plans for a COVID-19 vaccine mandate and tighter restrictions. Eastern German states, despite the cold and slippery roads, saw the biggest turnout of up to 15,000 people. But Western Germany also had its share, like here in Mainz. People carried signs saying things like, "Fight for your freedom." Protests have broken out across Germany in recent weeks as residents face tighter restrictions amid a so-called fifth wave driven by the Omicron variant. Starting on Tuesday, people who are not vaccinated can only meet in pairs, while those vaccinated or recently recovered can meet each other in groups of 10. Police say some protests were not authorized. In Bavaria, some attendees received suspended prison sentences after clashes with police on Sunday. People also came out on Christmas Day, like here in Dusseldorf. Protesters are opposed to the government's plan to introduce compulsory vaccines for all adults. Some of their signs said, "Free decision on vaccination" and "No to the gene injection." The Bundestag is set to vote on the measure in January. Earl Rhodes, NTD News.
And on Sunday, thousands of performers, theater operators, event organizers, and others gathered in Brussels, protesting the government's decision to close the country's cultural life over the surging Omicron variant.
Culture is very important. It always helps. It's an economic activity. But we need it also for our mental health. It is the only way for people to live experiences, to tell stories. It is of paramount importance for us to be open in these complicated and complex times.
Authorities estimated 5,000 people came out. After almost 2 years of forced closures and limited openings, the cultural sector had hoped its efforts, like special air quality meters, would allow it to escape the brunt of COVID restrictions. While restaurants and bars are allowed to stay open with some new restrictions, cinemas, theatres and other cultural venues were instructed to close. About 80 cinemas in the capital remained open on Sunday in defiance. The measures come despite a steady decline in COVID-19 hospital admissions in recent weeks.
Arctic winds have blanketed Western Canada in record low temperatures, with wind chill as low as negative 67 degrees Fahrenheit. Environment Canada issued an extreme cold weather warning to all of Alberta province, along with most of British Columbia and Saskatchewan. Experts say at these temperatures, frostbite can develop within minutes on exposed skin. In Edmonton, it's so cold that ski slopes are almost empty. But in slightly warmer Vancouver, families are taking out their sleds and taking advantage of the thick snow. The freezing temperatures are expected to last into next week. The world's first dual-mode bus and rail vehicles started running in the Japanese town of Kaiyo on Saturday. This type of vehicle has wheels for both modes of transportation. Let's take a look.
The vehicle resembles a minibus and runs on normal rubber tires when moving on conventional roads. When it arrives at an interchange station, it transforms. Steel wheels descend from its underbelly. The train wheels lift the front tires off the rail track, while the rear stays in contact to provide propulsion. According to a Japan Forward reporter who took a test ride, the transition is smooth and takes only 15 seconds.
Conventional vehicles can only run either on roads or railways, but this can reach the locals as a bus and carry them onto the railways as well. Especially in rural areas with an aging population, we expect it to be a very good form of public transportation.
The vehicle has been in development since 2002. It runs at a speed of 37 miles per hour on rail tracks and can go as fast as 62 miles per hour on roads. Each vehicle costs about $1.2 million to produce. The vehicle can only carry 21 people at a time.
I want Kaio Town to be the first to operate the dual-mode vehicle, so if it is successful, local transportation lines across Japan can follow suit.
Kaio is a town located in the southern Japanese prefecture of Tokushima. The area is experiencing a depopulation crisis, and the local government hopes the new vehicle can attract tourists. The vehicle will launch on a route that connects Tokushima with the adjacent Kochi prefecture.
Coming up, a Taiwanese potter is renowned for making rare ceramic bowls. These bowls are so thin that they can even dance with the wind. And the Lateran Apostolic Palace in Rome is now open to the public. The structure was the papal residence for almost 1,000 years before it was moved to the Vatican in the 14th century. Find out more after the break.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. Cancel culture has not only affected myself and MyPillow, but millions of you out there. Before all this started, I had already written in my memoir, I dedicate this book to anyone that's looking for hope. Well, right now, we're all looking for hope. I believe that my story is going to bring inspiration and hope to everyone. By the time you're done reading my book, you will believe that with God, all things are possible. To thank you all for your support, I'm offering some of my best prices ever on MyPillow products, including this exclusive bundle. You get my book and these 5 MyPillows. They all have beautiful scenes and verses from the Bible, such as Isaiah 41:10. Do not fear, for I am with you. This 6-pack bundle is regularly $219. Now it's just $99.98 and free shipping with your promo code. Go to mypillow.com and use the promo code on your screen or call the 1-800 number below. Thank you and God bless.
Ceramic works are sought after for their beauty, rarity, and thinness. One Taiwanese potter made his name by creating ceramic bowls so thin they can dance.
This ceramic bowl has a special feature. It's one of the thinnest of its kind. Just by blowing on it, this potter makes it move. In Taiwan, the ceramist made a name for himself by creating these ceramic works that dance. For 2 decades, he's experimented with different clay formulas and manufacturing processes.
In China, they say this is eggshell ceramic, but when I made a success, they told me this is not eggshell ceramic. They said it is egg membrane ceramic, referring to the membrane inside the egg.
Huang's works were featured at the 2010 Shanghai World Expo. After that, Chinese ceramists began visiting his workshop in hopes of learning his secret formula. He says they couldn't believe their eyes when they saw the dancing ceramic bowls. Some ceramists believe Huang added plastic to the mix, a theory he immediately refuted. Plastic cannot withstand the heat of the kilns used to harden the ceramic bowls.
It's impossible that I added plastic. My formula is close to nanotechnology. Otherwise, you can't make it. I just told them that. Even ceramic specialists do not believe this can be so thin, so you can imagine how difficult it is.
The thinnest of Huang's works measures in at around 1/3 of an inch thick, but he refused a Guinness World Records title, saying he didn't want to reveal his formula. After the bowls are crafted, they're still not yet complete. Wu is a Taiwanese ceramic painter. He's been painting Huang's ceramic creations for almost 2 decades.
You have to be very serious when painting on thin ceramics. You cannot relax because this is very thin. When you paint, your moves must be very slow. You must be very gentle. You can't be casual about it. If you're casual, there will be tragedy. Speaking of this, I also broke several bowls.
One 17-inch bowl made by Huang and painted by Wu carries a price tag of around $900,000.
The Lateran Apostolic Palace in Rome was the papal residence for almost 1,000 years before it was moved to the Vatican in the 14th century. Now the luxurious private home of popes from the past is open to the public. NTD's Andrew Thomas reports.
The first organized church in Rome was actually built across the Tiber River in the 4th century by the Emperor Constantine at St. John Lateran. Today, it's the Basilica for the city of Rome. Along with its adjoining buildings, St. John was the official residence of the popes, until the papacy moved to Avignon at the start of the 1300s.
Until the 14th century, the Lateran Palace has been the residence of the popes. Then the Pope moved to Avignon in France. So this area that was already in the suburbs, once the Pope comes back to Rome, was found abandoned, a looted site, a place of decay. So the papal residence is transferred to the Vatican. Some conclaves are celebrated in the Curia of the Quirinal Palace.
Visitors can now access 10 rooms in the palace. They include the dining room, the library, the bedroom, and the private chapel.
This reopening is the answer to a request of the Holy Father. It means making accessible this beauty and letting tourists, Roman citizens, Italians, the whole world enjoy a palace that has marked some important transition periods in the history of the Church, and therefore of the history of the world and of Italy.
The building is associated with the Roman Emperor Constantine. He is credited for stopping persecutions against Christians. In a room dedicated to the emperor, an imposing fresco displays him seeing the Holy Cross appear in the sky.
History is a mother and a teacher. In history, there is a common thread of God's actions, and of course, Pope Francis connects himself strongly with his predecessors. If we consider the last century, I would say he sets up a special connection from the pontificate of Pope John XXIII.
In the room of the pontiffs lie the Lateran Pacts. Signed in 1929, the treaty aimed at recognizing Vatican City as an independent state after the Italian unification. The treaty meant the Holy See and Italy recognized each other as sovereign entities. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
The Vatican's museums and their priceless artworks are a huge draw for tourists. Every morning, the Vatican's keykeeper is tasked with opening up all the doors and gates.
There are almost 3,000 keys, and the man in charge is Gianni Crea. His workday starts at the crack of dawn. At 5 a.m., Monday to Saturday, the keykeeper gathers his tools, including one truly holy item. Locked in a safe, sealed inside an envelope, is the key to the Sistine Chapel. Then it's time to begin his rounds, opening up the rooms, halls, and corridors of the Vatican museums.
It is a unique emotion and incredible privilege for me and my colleagues to have the opportunity of showing this extraordinary artwork that is a part of our history to visitors from all over the world.
He walks 4 miles every day through the museums, unlocking the doors before the visitors arrive. Every year, around 6.5 million people come to see the Vatican and marvel at its treasured artworks. They will often wait in line for hours to enter. But at this early hour of the morning, only Crea is around as he approaches the most famous part of the Vatican, the Sistine Chapel. This is where cardinals gather to elect each new pope.
We have the peculiarity of keeping the key of the Sistine Chapel inside a bunker, so there is a special procedure adopted by the museum management. I have been doing this job for almost 23 years.
Today, Crea has time to take a few moments to admire Michelangelo's masterpieces, including the Last Judgment and the ceiling, completed in 1512. It's a view he sees every day, but it never gets old.
And that's all for today's news. Thanks for tuning in. See you tomorrow.
Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Did you know YouTube only keeps selected videos on its platform? So if you want to make sure you get the full picture, just subscribe to our newsletter. Go to newsletter.ntd.com and sign up. It's free.